Mark Carney's swift ascent to Canada's highest office is already making waves. His firm rejection of U.S. annexation and reconsideration of the $19 billion F-35 deal mark a significant pivot toward European alliances. With a strong stance against American influence, his approach could reshape Canada's military strategy and alter global power dynamics. What's driving this bold move, and how might it impact NATO? Carney wasted no time after being sworn in on March 14th, making it clear where Canada stands. His unequivocal statement, "We will never, ever in any way, shape or form be part of the United States," left no room for doubt. This was more than just a diplomatic rebuttal. It was a direct counter to U.S. Senator Marco Rubio's assertion that Canada would be better off as America's 51st state. Carney didn't hold back, calling the idea of annexation outright absurd. His firm stance reflects a growing sentiment among Canadians who see their political identity as distinctly separate from the U.S. While the two nations have long shared deep trade, defense, and cultural ties, his remarks signal a deliberate push to reinforce Canada's sovereignty. But this isn't just about national pride, it's about strategy. Carney warned that the U.S. has its eyes on Canada's resources, water, and land, framing the situation as a direct challenge to the nation's independence. His rhetoric isn't the language of cautious diplomacy. It's an unfiltered defense of Canada's autonomy. By declaring that any annexation attempt would destroy the country's way of life, he signaled that he views the current geopolitical landscape as a direct threat. Carney's push for sovereignty isn't just political. It's reshaping Canada's military strategy. The reconsideration of the $19 billion contract for 88 F-35 stealth fighters marks a major shift in defense priorities. Defense Minister Bill Blair's announcement surprised many, especially given that Canada had already allocated funds for the first 16 jets set for delivery next year. The F-35 program has always sparked debate, despite its cutting-edge stealth and avionics. The aircraft's massive costs and complex maintenance requirements have drawn criticism worldwide. Canada's hesitation aligns with a broader trend within NATO, where skepticism about the program is growing. Portugal recently scrapped its F-35 plans, citing concerns over Trump's unpredictable foreign policy and restrictive U.S. operational controls. Blair hinted that Canada may instead turn to European-made jets, with Sweden's Saab JS-39 Gripen emerging as a leading alternative. The Gripen's impressive speed and ability to operate from rough airstrips make it a compelling alternative. More importantly, Saab has proposed manufacturing the aircraft in Canada, a move that would create domestic jobs, transfer key technologies, and ensure NATO compatibility. This shift highlights Canada's push for greater strategic independence. Relying on U.S.-controlled defense systems often comes with political and operational constraints, making a transition to European models an appealing option. Diversifying defense partnerships would reduce dependence on a single supplier while enhancing military flexibility. But this move isn't just about hardware. It's part of a broader geopolitical shift, aligning Canada more closely with Europe. Canada's increasing interest in European defense partnerships is unfolding within a larger global realignment. Over the past few years, Europe has significantly ramped up military spending, with EU member states increasing their defense budgets by over 30% between 2021 and 2024, reaching nearly $326 billion, around 1.9% of the EU's GDP. European defense giants are thriving, with Rheinmetall, the continent's largest ammunition manufacturer, reporting record profits last year and anticipating up to 30% growth in the coming year. The European Commission's Rearm Europe initiative is further driving this expansion, with up to $800 billion allocated for joint defense projects and increased production capacity. Canada's potential shift toward European suppliers is already attracting interest from major industry players, signaling a new phase in its defense strategy. Alongside Saab's Gripen, France's Dassault Rafale and Germany's Eurofighter Typhoon are being considered as alternatives to the F-35. A move toward European platforms would provide Canada with greater bargaining power and operational flexibility, which is difficult to achieve under the tightly controlled F-35 program. However, strengthening military ties with Europe carries broader economic implications as well. Canada's defense industry is a crucial pillar of the national economy, contributing over $9.6 billion to GDP and supporting approximately 81,200 jobs. By 2022, its importance extended beyond security. serving as a major driver of employment and technological advancement. To further develop this sector, the government introduced a defense procurement strategy designed to equip the Canadian Armed Forces and Coast Guard while stimulating domestic job creation. Streamlining procurement processes has improved efficiency, ensuring timely delivery of equipment while bolstering the national industry. In April 2024, the government launched the Our North, Strong and Free initiative, allocating $10.2 billion over 20 years to modernize defense infrastructure and enhance military readiness. An additional $9.5 billion is set aside to build a strategic ammunition reserve and boost domestic artillery production, strengthening Canada's self-reliance while reducing dependence on foreign suppliers. Beyond economic and defense concerns, Canada's reconsideration of the F-35 program carries significant geopolitical weight, signaling a broader shift within NATO. Growing distrust over U.S. foreign policy, particularly due to Trump's unpredictable leadership, has led some allies to reassess their military strategies. Portugal's recent decision to abandon its F-35 plans highlights this trend. Portuguese Defense Minister Nuno Melo cited concerns over excessive American control, warning that U.S. operational restrictions could compromise national security. As a result, Portugal is now exploring European alternatives, reflecting a broader push for defense autonomy among NATO members. Canada's potential realignment with European suppliers like Saab and Dassault could accelerate this trend. While moving away from US-based systems might reduce NATO's interoperability, it could also grant member states greater strategic flexibility. For European defense manufacturers, this shift presents a major opportunity to expand their influence within the alliance. Ultimately, scrapping the F-35 deal is about more than cost savings. It's about asserting sovereignty and strategic independence. Carney's firm rejection of U.S. annexation highlights a growing desire to reinforce Canada's autonomy. Aligning with European defense manufacturers signals a calculated effort to diversify military partnerships and reduce reliance on American infrastructure. However, this decision isn't without risks. Could abandoning the F-35 weaken Canada's position within NATO? Will Trump's foreign policy decisions push more allies toward European defense solutions? Canada's next moves will be crucial in determining whether this is a short-term shift or the beginning of a larger strategic realignment. For years, Canada debated whether to move forward with Lockheed Martin's F-35 fighter jet deal, a deal that started way back in the early 2000s. The program was championed during Trump's presidency, but Canada has had second thoughts. Why? Rising costs, delays, and concerns over long-term maintenance have made it a political nightmare. So Canada has officially decided to pull out. For years, Canada debated whether to move forward with Lockheed Martin's F-35 fighter jet deal, a deal that started way back in the early 2000s. The program was championed during Trump's presidency, but Canada has had second thoughts. Why? Rising costs, delays, and concerns over long-term maintenance have made it a political nightmare. So, Canada has officially decided to pull out. But Canada still needs fighter jets. Enter Europe. Reports suggest that Canada is looking at alternatives like the Saab Gripen from Sweden and the Eurofighter Typhoon. Could this be a strategic shift away from U.S. military dependence? And how will Washington react? With Canada pulling away from the U.S. deal, European defense manufacturers are stepping in. The Saab Gripen is a solid alternative, and the Eurofighter Typhoon, backed by the UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain, could become a real contender. This shift could signal a deeper change in Canada's defense policy. Less reliance on the U.S. could mean stronger ties with Europe in both military and trade. But will this create tension between Canada and its biggest ally?